going to our top 10 fantasy wide receivers. Starting at number 10 in our fantasy wide receiver list, we have Mr. Keenan Allen. It's our consensus rankings, everybody. So just remember that this isn't just one person's rankings. It's a ranking between all of us. What do you guys have to say about Mr. Keenan Allen here?
Keenan Allen with I almost said San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers. I had Keenan Allen down at 10, where he's at in our consensus. He's aging in a little bit, and the production in LA, I keep wanting to say San Diego, and LA should be pretty good this year, and I think he'll do really well. He's performed for the last couple of years pretty well up there. I don't know his exact rankings for the past couple of years, but he's a good fantasy wide receiver to have in a PPR or non-PPR league. He will do well this year.
Yeah,
he's a reliable guy.
But Steven, what do you got on Mr. Keenan Allen?
Yeah, I think Daniel hit it on. I mean, he's a safe bet to take for fantasy. I mean, last year 106 receptions, so he was very reliable. I'm sure they'll use him probably a bit this year, especially with Justin Herbert passing the ball to him. So it's a nice safe pick to start off the wide receivers on.
Yeah, over the past 5 seasons, he has made between 97 and 106 receptions a year, which is great for PPR leagues especially. And all the yards he gets after that are really, really good. He missed only 4 games in those 5 seasons. He allowed him to shook off the injury-prone label, but we'll see what happens this year. Like you guys said, he's turning 30 this year, and he could struggle.
Not for long.
Yeah, not for long. That's what the NFL stands for. So, but we'll move on to the next fantasy wide receiver. Number 9 on our fantasy wide receiver list, we have Mr. Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill just got traded to the Miami Dolphins. Tyreek Hill should be pretty solid this year. If Tua can come to form, I think that Tyreek Hill will have a pretty good season.
I think Tua is getting a really bad rap right now because he's had a couple of inconsistent throwing, or not a couple of. He's had some inconsistent throwing through training camp.
Yeah, he has.
But Tua is a good quarterback, man. I think they'll just fine over there in Miami. Yeah, Tyreek Hill is going to be really good this year as well. He's got Jalen Waddle on the opposite side of him to share some of the catches, but Tyreek Hill is, he's a cheetah dolphin now. He's like a leopard printed dolphin. He's so fast. Dolphin. He'll have a great season. I think that Jalen Waddle might take away a little bit. I think that's why we have him so low in our consensus rankings. But yeah, he's
on a team with a lot of talent. The Dolphins were happy to snatch him up, and they rewarded him with a $75 million extension, which is a lot of money. So I would have taken that too if I were him. Yeah. He turned in yet another exceptional fantasy performance in 2021, catching 111 passes for 1,239 yards and 9 touchdowns on the year. That being said, Hill will see a significant quarterback downgrade from Patrick Mahomes and going from one of the best signal callers in the league to Tua, but we'll see how Tua does this year. Like I said, later on, we're going to talk about Tua and the Dolphins when we talk about the AFC East. I have some things to say about Tua, but we'll see what happens there. But Steven, you got anything on Tyreek Hill?
I think that's like you said, he'll be low a little bit just because of the quarterback situation. He'll still produce a lot as long as Tua can be consistent. But other than that, he'll be a good wide receiver to pick up. Definitely, if he's available, I definitely
deserves to be in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We'll move on to the next wide receiver in our rankings here. At wide receiver number 8, our consensus rankings, we have Mr. Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans is also getting old, but he still has Tom Brady because he unretired. So
he's only 28.
Yeah, well, he's getting up there. Usually around 27 is when you start to see people start to hit the downgrade on the hill from your fantasy performances. Typically, like you said, not for long. That's what the NFL stands for. But Mike Evans, I think,
hurt right now.
Yeah, he is hurt now. So see, there you go. But Mike Evans, I think, will be a solid pickup once he comes back to form. Also, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are missing Chris Godwin for the beginning of the season. I don't think he's going to play the first couple weeks. He's still lingering from his injury last year. But Mike Evans should be able to pick up the slack and be Mike Evans like usual and have the fantasy points that he always has.
I mean, with Tom Brady throwing the ball to him, he should be fine. As Tom Brady can stay healthy this year, Mike Evans will be fine.
That was an odd statement that just came out of your mouth. If Tom Brady can stay healthy.
Well,
Brady
he's going to be what, 43 this year?
He's 40. Going to be 45, I think.
44.
I think he's 44 right now.
He's already 44.
Jesus.
Yeah.
He never leaves.
I don't even have Mike Evans in my top 10.
I know. I was noticing that too. That's why I wanted to ask you about that. You don't even have Mike Evans in the top 10.
I think the reasoning behind that is that there's just so much more young talent that can outperform him. I mean, obviously, we'll get through the rest of these.
A little bit later.
We'll see what happens. But you put talented wide receivers into an offense, and they're going to perform. Or put talented wide receivers into a talented offense, and they'll perform, better. It doesn't sell me as much as the receivers that I have in my top 10. That's all.
I gotcha. Yeah, I think you're right though. If they get put into the system and they do what they need to do, they'll be fine. Number 7, we have Mr. CeeDee Lamb from your Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb. Daniel, I'll let you start on Mr. CeeDee.
That dude.
He is that dude.
I don't understand, and I never will understand how he fell to the Cowboys. As I think he was like pick 18.
I actually don't know how he fell to the Cowboys either. I was like, what are these other teams doing?
I was so happy when we got him, and then the first season that he played is just lights out, man. I actually have CD up one tier at 6 as an unbiased Cowboys fan. Very talented receiver, and he's also wide receiver 1 this year. So if the Cowboys have that high caliber offense like they did last year, CD is going to see a lot of touches. Good for PPR, and I think they're gonna. He's going to produce a lot this year.
Yeah, especially with, what's his name? Michael Gallup out right now in Washington.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to get a lot of it.
But CeeDee Lamb improved a bit in his sophomore campaign, but not a whole lot. As a rookie, he averaged 4.6 receptions for 58.4 yards on 6.9 targets per game. Last season, he averaged 4.9 receptions for 68.9 yards on 7.5 targets a game. He scored 5 touchdowns in 2020 and 6 in 2021, but overall, the breakout people expected didn't really happen. Remember last year, everybody thought he was going to have like a monster season, and he had a good season. It just wasn't
a good season.
A wide receiver 1 caliber monster season.
I know, it was so hard when he had Cooper and Gallup too.
But it's like 3 wide receiver 1s competing.
How do you guys think he's going to do this year with the new receiver core you guys have?
He'll be good for the first few weeks until Gallup and Washington come back, but
I think he's ready to take over as the set in stone wide receiver 1.
He is going to take over. I do believe that. So. But we'll move on to the next wide receiver we got in our rankings here. The next wide receiver we have at number 6 is Mr. Davante Adams. Davante Adams went off to the Raiders in the offseason. He's got a quarterback downgrade from Derek Carr, which from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr. But Derek Carr was his college quarterback, so they do have that chemistry already. So, I mean, they're going to have a solid team as long as they all stay healthy. They got Josh Jacobs in the backfield still. I think they have Kenyon Drake too, no? They do have Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake is, so they'll be a little 2-headed monster in the backfield there. They got Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, who's a monster. My problem with the Raiders this year is if any of those players get hurt, their backups aren't that great. So that's what I've been saying on the Raiders for a while. What do you guys think on Davante Adams?
I think you bring up a good point in saying that they don't have a lot of depth. But if they can stay healthy, I think the Raiders are going to do a lot better than people are thinking.
So I do have them going 8-9 with a losing record, but I can see them winning more games and making the playoffs. I can see them at like 11-6, 12-5 if the team really clicks all year. Yeah. Well, I mean, last year there's kind of a stat that people were throwing out. I think in 1-score games, they won 6 1-score games.
Yeah.
Like
it was either narrowly. 6 or 7.
Yeah. Something like that. But that was a big skew. If those games go the other way, they're not even got talked about in the playoffs. But what do you think of Davante, Steven?
Davante is going to be good. He's amazing. You saw him in Green Bay. I think Derek Carr will use him a lot. Hunter and Phil should get. I mean, those two are going to share touches pretty well, but Davante should be getting a majority of those, so he should have some nice stats this year.
Yeah, he's a really good PPR pickup this year. If you guys are in a PPR league, half PPR, I think he's going to get a lot of targets and eat up a lot of targets. We're going to move on to the next wide receiver in our ranking list here. Wide receiver number 5 on the year, we have Mr. Deebo Samuel. I will go back to you guys because
we saw him.
You guys saw him. Actually, all of us were at the Cowboys 49ers game, playoff game last year in the standing room area. But Steven, we'll start with you.
Yeah, that playoff game, he had 10 receptions.
Yeah. Like I said, PPR, that's 10 points.
At 154 yards in that playoff game. He went crazy in that playoff game.
He torched us.
He is the wide receivers for the 49ers. he'll definitely get a majority of those, especially with Trey Lance getting used to the offense.
I
So he
still
should definitely.
don't know about Trey Lance.
Yeah, we gotta wait that out and find out.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have a resume to prove in the NFL. Like he hasn't played, So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a toss up. I mean, the NFL is a different kind of beast. So
Mhm.
we'll see what Trey Lance does. But in regards to Deebo, he's probably the best player on that team.
He
I'd
definitely
say,
is.
at least on the offensive side.
Offensive.
He's a freak athlete. I mean, they utilize him so much. And we always say that injury could be a factor, but we always try to go off not expecting injury because nobody wants that. But Debo's gonna produce a lot again this year. I actually have him all the way up at 3 on my list.
What do I?
Oh, you do have him at 3. You have him way up
The
there.
Niners.
I have him at 5, so I think we're on 5 right now.
I actually have him at 8, so I'm not as high as you guys are on him.
We got him pretty split. But yeah, I mean, he torched Dallas last year in the playoff game. He's a freak athlete. He's a big weapon, and he gets a lot of touches. I mean, if you can pick up Deebo, get your running backs first, unless you're in a PPR league. But get your running backs first, and if you can get Deebo like early, I would say take him because he gets utilized so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was talking about how he's good in PPR leagues. He's also good in our league is a standard league, but he had 1770 scrimmage yards and 14 total touchdowns. He finished as the wide receiver 2 overall in standard formats and the wide receiver 3 in PPR. The young weapons outlook for 2022 is a bit murkier than his production would indicate. Samuel demanded a new contract extension from San Francisco in the offseason, and he requested his trade as well, but we all know that he fixed that, fine. And he's fine. He's going to be playing on the team. He's going to be solid, and he's going to be a monster in that San Francisco offense. Watch out for San Francisco this year. They can surprise a lot of people this year because their defense is really good.
They can bounce around.
Yeah, if Trey Lance is the quarterback they think he's going to be, they could make some noise and possibly make another Super Bowl run. So
if Trey Lance makes as much noise as people are putting him up to be, they could win that division. They could beat out LA. I could see it happening.
Yeah,
the Niners are a stacked ass team.
They definitely could. They're very, very scary this year. Daniel don't like you, and he doesn't like you them being in the NFC. So, but we'll move on from Deebo Samuel. We're on our number 4 wide receiver here. At number 4, we have Mr. Stefon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills. But last year, after being the surprise overall wide receiver 1 in 2020, Stefon Diggs came down to earth a bit last year. He still managed to finish as a wide receiver 7, but fantasy managers did not quite get what they paid for. Last year, his stat line totaled 103 catches for 1,225 yards and 10 scores. That's not bad, though. That's still wide receiver 1 quality. Yep. It is not common that a player with 10 touchdowns could be seen as a candidate for positive touchdown regression. So he did have less touchdowns last year, but he also has a lot of competition there in Buffalo. So you got Dawson Knox eating up stuff. You had Josh Allen running in touchdowns because he's very mobile. You had him throwing to Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley's no longer there now. And then they have Gabriel Davis this year.
Bring him back to Dallas.
Yeah, they'll be a threat this year. But what do you guys think of Stefon Diggs?
Are you talking about Cole Beasley?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he wants Cole Beasley back.
He wants to come back to Dallas, dude.
I know. After when he left, he was all trash in Dallas, and now he's like, I want to come back.
Yeah.
Stefon, he's going to be great. He has a great brother who's going to eat up a lot of interceptions again. But
talking about
Stefon,
we're not talking about the Cowboys. We're talking about Stefon Diggs, not
Cowboys,
not the other Diggs. They always got to get their cowboy stuff in.
I had to sneak that in there.
Whatever. All right,
I like the mindset.
Talk about Stefon Diggs. We'll talk about your Diggs when we get to the NFC East later.
Stefon, he's on a stacked team, like you said. So I mean, he's going to get the ball, but he's going to be not struggling for catches, but he will be competing for them a lot. As long as he can stay healthy too, he'll be a great receiver. He's number 4, I think.
Yeah, he's 4 on our rankings. I think he's gonna be a target machine.
I had him
this
at
year
4 too, so he'll definitely get the targets. He should be good.
What about you, Daniel?
I want to acknowledge, like Steven's saying that you both kind of mentioned that there's a lot of mouths to feed in Buffalo. I think that helps him because he will not be getting double covered. Because you can't cover him because then you're leaving another wide receiver threat open on the other side of the field. They're stacked, at their whole team is stacked. Let's be honest. But on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, they have so many weapons to go to that you can't leave any of them. You know what I mean?
True.
You can't leave any of them unattended.
That's a mistake.
Yeah. So I have Stefon Diggs really high this year. I have him up at 4 where we have him in our consensus. I think he will perform really well this year. Josh Allen is a veteran quarterback, as we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are freak athletes. They have great chemistry together. If you can pick up Stefon Diggs, do it.
Do it. All right, we're going to go on to number 3 in our wide receiver rankings. At number 3, we have Jamar Chase, the surprise guy from last year on the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase met all expectations and then some in 2021 in his rookie season after being the number 5 overall pick in the draft. Chase finished with 81 catches for 1,455 yards and 13 touchdowns, while also setting the single game rookie receiving record with 266 yards in week 17. Chase is primed to build off his debut success in 2022 on a Bengals offense that has been upgraded. They have a new offensive line. They have wide receivers. They have weapons. They're going to be scary this year. What do you guys think about Jamar Chase?
Did you just say he went for 226 yards in one game?
Yep, in week 17 last year.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Who were they playing? Oh, no, it was against Kansas City.
Yeah, there you go.
Damn.
He's definitely going to get a lot more touches this year, so be on the lookout for him. He's definitely one of the top 3 wide receivers this year, so watch out.
Got him top 3, huh? I actually have Jamar Chase down at 5. The Bengals have a really high caliber offense, just like the Bills do, and they've added to their offensive line this year, which should give Joey Ice, some more time in the pocket to work, to get the ball out. Having said that, though, he's pretty stacked up in receivers. You have Jamar Chase on one end, you got Tyler Boyd in there, you got T. Higgins.
T. Higgins is going to eat this year, too.
Exactly.
He's going to be really good.
I think T. Higgins is going to eat a lot this year. T. Higgins could be a top 10 wide receiver as well. I didn't want to throw 2 from the same team in. So kind of riding out on Jamar Chase with both of y'all as well. But he should produce a lot this year. But like I said, I have him at 5 right under Stefon. That's pretty much all I got on Jamar.
Perfect. Well, let's move on.
226 yards is nuts.
Yeah, that's insane in one game. Broke the rookie record.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the number 2 wide receiver in our rankings, which to no surprise, we all know who 1 and 2 are. Who do we have at 2, though? We have Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota.
The Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson had a remarkable rookie season in 2020. After 88 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 7 touchdowns, the pressure was one for him to improve. And improve he did last year. While playing in all 17 games, Jefferson had 108 receptions for 1,616 yards and 10 touchdowns. I think he can improve on that this year because he's going to be the main target in Minnesota this year. And a lot of people put a lot of flack on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback. So if you guys don't pick up in your fantasy drafts, if you don't get a like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen early, in the later rounds, just grab Kirk Cousins and get the better players because he's going to produce this year. He's going to be really good. Yeah, he's going to be good.
Yeah.
But he was Kirk Cousins' main target and was able to keep the offense afloat during the weeks when Adam Thielen was missing games during injury. But Adam Thielen is coming back this year. Adam Thielen's getting up there in age as well, but we'll see what he does as well. But Daniel, what do you think of Mr. Justin Jefferson?
I think it's just as wow. That is hard
we
to
can't say that. Say Justin Jefferson 8 times fast.
Justin Jefferson.
Why 8 times? Holy crap!
Well, why not?
I say twice.
No.
I can barely say it once. Justin Jefferson is taking over in Minnesota. Like you said, Adam Thielen is still there. My team name for one of my fantasy leagues 2 years ago was Hooked on a Thielen.
Hooked on a
Thielen.
Thielen.
That fantasy league.
It's pretty awesome.
But again, Adam Thielen's getting older. You got Justin Jefferson there. He's young. He's coming off his rookie season. He's getting better and better with every game. So, I mean, it's no surprise that he's up at number 2. I'm pretty sure most people know the only receiver that we have at number 1, who's a little bit better. He's proved himself last year, but we'll get into that in a second. Justin Jefferson's going to eat this year.
Yep. Here's the thing. I do have the other receiver higher than Justin Jefferson. Barely. I was this close to switching him because I think Justin Jefferson is going to be wide receiver 1 this year.
Yeah.
He should be.
So we'll see what happens.
He should be. He should get more than 10 touchdowns this year, easily. Especially if Kirk Cousins can stay consistent like he is, he'll definitely be eating a lot. So
yeah, Kirk Cousins last year, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Yeah,
that's good. That's really good. We'll go on to our number 1 fantasy wide receiver, who is Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was the number 1 overall fantasy wide receiver in fantasy last year, which we all know. But Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp was outstanding last season. Kupp had 145 catches for 1,947 yards and 16 touchdowns. Wide receiver 1 on the year in all formats. He was named AP Offensive Player of the Year and was Super Bowl MVP for the Rams. And he got a Super Bowl ring. Well, he'll receive a Super Bowl ring, which I don't know if you guys have seen the Rams Super Bowl rings, but they're ridiculous.
They're nuts.
It was a season almost unheard of by any wide receiver of any standards. So how does he follow it up? Robert Woods is now in Tennessee with the Titans, and Odell Beckham Jr. is likely headed to another team in free agency. He is also injured. They add Allen Robinson, which I think will complement Kupp very well. And I think Allen Robinson, this is the best quarterback he's ever had, ever. So I think Allen Robinson might be a good pickup this year in leagues as well, going to the Rams. But the Rams are built to win this year. So what do you guys think of Mr. Cooper Kupp this year?
He won all what was it? The triple crown of wide receivers last year. He won every.
Yeah, pretty much. He
everything.
won every category.
Receiving yards and touchdowns.
Yep.
Touchdowns.
He won all those categories for sure.
16 touchdowns, 145 receptions with almost 2,000 yards.
Yeah, 1,947 yards. He was that close to 2,000.
That's
2,000
over like 105 yards a game average.
Yep.
Insane. If you had Cooper Kupp on your fantasy team last year, you're probably won your league.
It's crazy that his longest catch was only 18 yards.
That
He's
is
so
pretty
fast,
crazy.
that's
Yeah,
why.
he is fast.
He's very fast after the catch.
Yeah, he catch and goes down. What do you think of Cooper Kupp, Daniel?
I love him, dude. Cooper Kupp he's just a show out stud. I mean, he fits into that offense so well. There's not much to say about it. He's proved himself, man. I mean, I did have him last year in one of my fantasy leagues. He was lights out. It was nuts.
In our league last year, I made the mistake of picking. It was him and Robert Woods were going back to back, like around the 40s. And I flipped a coin and it landed on Robert Woods. So I picked Robert Woods and that was a mistake because, yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, he'll have a good compliment in Allen Robinson. I think that Allen Robinson won't take very much away from it. It'll be the same thing like I was saying earlier. You're still going to have to cover Allen Robinson. So Cooper Kupp, well, he'll probably get double teamed every once in a while, but he's so quick. Like his routes are super sound and he breaks out of them so fast. And the way he runs after catch is he just produces.
Yeah, but Allen Robinson will get his catches too. I mean, he's going to be a great pickup as well with Cooper Kupp, but Cooper Kupp is elite. He's up there. That's why he's our number 1 overall wide receiver